Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a really amazing video planned for you today. Hopefully it will be very informative. I have with me attorney at law, Mr. Dagnachew. If you would like to, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Dagnachew. I am a managing partner at Dagnachew and Mahlet law firm.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so basically, we're just going to have a little bit of an informal interview today. I do have some questions written down just to make sure I get everything covered that I think will be helpful for you guys to know. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. Do you have anything you want to say before we start?
No, you go
No?
ahead. Yes.
Okay, so here we go. You've already introduced yourself. And did you say the name of your law office?
Dagnachew and Mahlet law firm.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. And you guys are located where?
We are located in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and our office location is at Haile, Comet building, 4th floor.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I'll put that on the screen in case people want to visit your office, as well as a contact number.
Okay.
We have the card here, so I will share that if that's okay with you.
That's okay.
Okay, very good. So how long have you been practicing law?
I have been practicing law for around 17 years, starting from 2007. Before that, I served as a judge for almost 5 years. So, in total, around 20 years of legal service.
That's a very long time. So, you're very experienced. This is your expertise. And all of that time has been here in Ethiopia?
All time in Ethiopia.
Wonderful. Perfect. You're the right person we need to speak to. Okay, so what type of services do you offer here in your office, both to local Ethiopians and maybe diaspora? If you can explain what those are.
Yes, we offer wide range services, legal services, and many of our services are on civil matters, not criminal matters.
Okay.
In civil matters, we represent both clients from abroad as well as Ethiopian nationals as well. And our services include family laws, inheritance, marriage, adoption, as well as commercial, investment, corporate laws, construction, and hospitality industry. Like we consult on hotel management agreement as well as technical service agreements. Also employment law, trademark, copyright. We all do all these services in our law firm.
So you're basically a one-stop shop. You pretty much cover it all, with the exception of criminal law.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So if somebody wanted to start a business or do something, some type of investment in Ethiopia, you would be the right person to contact.
Exactly.
Your law firm.
We have registered several international companies, individuals, to start their businesses here in Ethiopia. So we are very much well versed in investment laws. So we consult, we establish companies, as well as we take those companies with all their legal questions regarding running of their companies in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, and we will be with them the whole time.
Wow! So you also consult. That's very good.
Yes.
So is starting a business, this isn't actually one of the questions I had, but since we're on this topic, is starting a business in Ethiopia difficult? Like establishing a business, getting the business license and all of that stuff? Would you say it's difficult or?
Doing business in Ethiopia has been getting better and better.
Oh, really?
Yes. And nowadays, online registration and online services are widespread, and they are being implemented at the moment. So, starting a business for Ethiopians is quite simple.
Oh, wow.
Also,
that's good to know.
Yes, for foreigners as well who try to invest in Ethiopia, for the diaspora who wants to invest in Ethiopia, that aspect has also been very simple. So doing business in Ethiopia has been getting better and better. And online services are also getting smoother, easier as well.
Wow.
But always they need the support of a proxy or an attorney to assist them in making sure all the legal procedures are being followed.
Okay,
That's
yes.
the most important.
It's very important, actually. You know, even if the process is getting easier, it's still critical to have a knowledgeable person to help you through it.
Exactly.
Okay.
A lawyer and an accountant are always mandatory and essential in making sure that business goes smoothly without bringing any unintended tensions to that investor or to that individual. So a lawyer and an accountant are essential parts of a business.
Okay, and just quickly, this might be a silly question, but do you have jurisdiction to represent your clients throughout the country or only in Addis?
Throughout the country.
Okay.
For example, if it is they are registered in Ethiopia, for example, in the investment office, they can acquire a land anywhere in Ethiopia. So, as a federal government entity, we follow them.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
The law also follows them, so we can represent them all over Ethiopia.
Throughout the country. Wonderful. Yes. Okay, so now that you mentioned land, can you provide a little bit of an explanation of the process for leasing land, purchasing land within Ethiopia?
Okay.
How does that work?
Yes. The first thing to know about land, or in general immovable properties, is that foreigners are not allowed to own immovable properties.
Okay.
As with exceptions. I will explain the exceptions.
Sure.
But for your primary question, what is the procedure to acquiring land or immovable property?
Yes.
The procedure first is to know land in Ethiopia is the property of the nation, nationality, and peoples of Ethiopia.
Okay.
It's a common property of the state and the people.
So all people own the land? I've always heard that it's the government that owns the land.
Exactly.
That's what that means?
That's what it means.
Okay.
Nation, nationality, and peoples represent the whole nation, and land is a common property of the people, and the administrator of that is the state. So, meaning land is the property of the state and the people.
Oh.
So it's not a private property. It's not private property. So as a common property of the government and the people, it is the government that assigns, transfers this land to individuals in a leasehold system or for free for rural lands. So land is divided into rural land and urban land. Okay. And when it comes to urban land, the government transfers those land to individuals when those individuals pay lease price for those land that they are going to get from the government.
Just sorry, before you go, if I may interrupt, who establishes the lease price? Who sets the lease price? It
is the government. Okay. So our constitution states that to transfer urban or rural land, particulars of this law would be promulgated by our parliament, and our parliament has also promulgated laws regarding the leasehold system. Okay. So we have a proclamation number 721/2011, which states about urban land leaseholding system. So the government is the one that sets the price for the lease, the time it takes for that person to hold that land, and the renewal procedures as well.
So that's interesting that you said the government sets the lease price, because what I've observed is that individuals can set the price that they want to ask for. Is that not the case? Or am I talking about something different?
It is related. Okay. But when the government has vacant lands, it cannot automatically give to anybody the government wants to. Right. But to those projects the government thinks are very essential for the community, or when it is open for the public,
Okay.
then it has to undergo through the auction process. When it is an auction process, any individual can participate in that auction and provide a certain amount of money to have a lease right on that particular land. So
I see.
it is the government that is going to transfer the property, but the price might be determined based upon the auction price, the highest auction price given to that particular land.
I see. So if it is vacant land, the government has the ability to hold an auction for people to bid for the land.
Exactly.
And then they will, do they take the highest bidder or?
Exactly. They
The
will
highest
take
bidder?
the highest bidder.
Okay. So then that land, the leasehold goes to the winner, of
Exactly.
the auction. So that in that case, that's how the price is set. When the land is not vacant and something is on it and it's owned by someone, that person can set the price however they want to.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there is these two different aspects when it comes to immovable property. Land is the property of the state and the government, but anything that is built on the land is the property and the ownership of that particular individual who has constructed, who has added value to the land.
Okay.
So the building, everything on the land is owned by that individual who has spent his money, energy, everything into that land. So it is constitutionally guaranteed right for that individual to have an ownership right on the property it builds. So he cannot sell the land, but that individual can sell his property on the land.
I see.
So because he is the owner of that particular property.
Okay. Very interesting. Last thing about the auction, how can someone find out if the government or when the government is holding an auction to purchase land? Because I think that might be good information for some people who want to purchase.
Exactly. Always, for example, when it comes to Addis Ababa, we have the Addis Ababa City Administration.
Okay.
It has its own gazettes, newspapers that it advertise all the auctions available in all the sub-cities. So a person interested to buy immovable property from the government has to follow up these gazettes from the administration, the municipality.
All right, and it's only like a hard copy newspaper. It's not online or something like that.
I'm not sure of the particulars, but normally in Ethiopia, it is a hard copy. At the moment, is the one that is circulated, and through social media, some individuals, if you follow them, might be advertising that such and such gazette has this information. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so that is one way that someone can acquire land directly from the government through an auction. Can you describe the process of how they would acquire land from an individual who has already built something on the land and they want to buy the structure?
Okay.
And including the land, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me differentiate two things here.
Okay.
One, let's assume a certain individual has a land transferred to him through the government, and he has a lease holding right, title deed certificate on the land. Even at that juncture, without even building anything on the land, that individual has a right to transfer that particular, his lease holding right can be transferred to another person.
I see.
Second, let's assume he has built-in buildings on the land and he wants to sell. And a good buyer who wants to buy that particular property has to undergo certain procedures, important procedures. The first procedure is for the buyer to make sure the title deed certificate is a genuine one, and there is no debt or an injunction order on that particular title deed certificate. So he has to take the title deed certificate to the subsidy which has issued that title deed certificate and make sure a stamp is made or a certain certification is given for that buyer saying, yes, this land is free from debt, it's free from any injunction order, and it is a valid title deed certificate. So making sure that procedure is followed is important for a
Excellent.
person to buy a property, an immovable property.
Mm-hmm.
Second is to undergo a contract of purchase,
Okay.
buy and sell contract,
Mm-hmm.
in front of the notary public. So, so many people undergo contracts outside of the notary public,
Oh.
which makes the contracts invalid in the eye of the law. So any person who wants to buy an immovable property has to have a contract in front of, signed in front of the notary public. So that is so crucial.
Yes.
And then based upon the contract, the handover of the property will be taken care of. The payment procedures will also be taken care of. And then once this contract is done, the buyer can take this contract to the concerned land administration office, and then pay the dues, around 6% tax, transfer tax, as well as stamp duty tax will be paid, and then the title deed certificate will be transferred to his name. So this is a crucial. These are clear procedures in buying
Codified in the
property.
law.
Yes.
So, how many times can the leaseholder transfer the title deed
So
with
when
nothing on the land, by the way, like the vacant land? Remember, you were explaining
Yes.
that the original leaseholder can transfer their leasehold to another person. How many times can that happen before something actually has to be built on the land?
I have to get back to you on this
Okay.
particular point.
Yeah.
But so long as a person has a right to transfer a lease right, that person can transfer that lease right to another person. But there are other laws that forces you, okay, to build on the land. Yes, because when the government gives you a land, the assumption is for you not to use it as a vehicle to enrich yourself, but for a purpose of building, renting, and using that particular land.
Okay.
So other laws might prohibit you from dealing on this matter for quite some time, but I don't know the exact years.
Okay, you don't know the time frame that you can leave it vacant.
Exactly. But
I've heard that it's not legal to buy farmland in Ethiopia. Is that true? Like, can you acquire land for the purpose of farming?
acquiring land for the purpose of farming, we have rural land proclamation, and this proclamation is being revised, and I think our parliament will issue a new law. So it is better to talk about this particular issue of rural land when this law is out, proclaimed, the new law. Yes, they are being revised.
Okay. Okay, so are there any lease renewal options that are available to people who, let's say they've had the land, maybe the lease term is 99 years. After that, maybe they've transferred it to their children and grandchildren. The 99 years is up. Then what? Can they renew it, or does the government reclaim the land?
The Urban Lease Proclamation 721/2011 clearly states that for residential houses, the lease period is 99 years. And it also says about renewal, and that lease can be renewed, renewed for a number of years as per the laws existing at the time of request of renewal. The lease price might be different, the time of renewal might be different. So the law says after the 99 years, as per the laws existing at that time, the renewal procedure will happen. Definitely.
So you did mention a little bit earlier about foreigners not being able to own property in Ethiopia. So maybe we can go into a little bit about who is eligible to own land or property in Ethiopia, and why not foreigners, or what are the exceptions that you brought up before?
Our civil code is the one that it is in 1960 that we have this law, and it clearly states that foreigners are prohibited from owning a movable property in Ethiopia, except there are exceptions even in that particular civil code article. So, immovable property are owned by Ethiopians and also foreign nationals of Ethiopian origins with the yellow ID, the yellow ID. They have to have the yellow ID. Okay, those people are the ones that have the eligibility to acquire immovable property in Ethiopia. When it comes to investors, okay, investors can own a residential house, mind you, a residential house if they invest more than 10 million US dollars in Ethiopia. One residential house is allowed for those investors who have invested more than 10 million US dollars in Ethiopia. Otherwise, for your business purpose, if you are an investor, a foreigner, you can have immovable property, own immovable property based upon the company that you have established in Ethiopia. The company established in Ethiopia is an Ethiopian company. It is Ethiopian, so it is a legal person. So that legal person can own immovable property. The government can assign, can give that particular legal person through lease holding immovable properties for its investment. So those companies established in Ethiopia can also own immovable properties. Recently, I have heard that some of the big investors in Ethiopia have questioned our prime minister as well on this particular issue, that we are being alienated. We are living here in Ethiopia. We want to establish our families here in Ethiopia. We have a business here. We want to have the ownership right, the belongingness in Ethiopia. And our prime minister responded that the law will be revisited in the near future. Hopefully, they will revisit it. But any investment, it can be monetary investment, it can be a factory investment, it can be manufacturing, agriculture, whatever it is. If that investment is valued more than US 10 million, then that person will be entitled to get one residential house. The thing that you have to understand is Ethiopia tends towards reserving its most valuable asset, which is the immovable property and the land, as well as the resources on the land, to benefit and remain within the grasp of Ethiopians. With this idea is the exceptions coming out. So when the exception is a little bit bigger, the idea behind this, no, we allow it when somebody has invested a lot in Ethiopia. That is the idea behind our investment law, which gave this particular right. But it can also be changed in the near future to accommodate our genuine big businesses, big investors that are residing, living, educating their family here in Ethiopia.
I think it's a tricky situation because Ethiopia should belong to Ethiopians, in my opinion. I don't think it's necessarily wise to allow too many foreigners to come in and take over. So I think it is wise to move cautiously in this regard, and as much as possible keep Ethiopia for Ethiopians. And so you mentioned like keeping it within the grasp of Ethiopians. Have you heard anything about the government trying to regulate the cost of land and property in Ethiopia? Because for most people living here, it's out of reach. Even for many diaspora, the cost is almost out of reach.
Yes, the government is trying its best. For example, in accommodating, for example, rent control and administration proclamation is out recently, just to make sure those individuals with the immovable property and that are renting for residential purposes need to have a limit on their rent increase.
Okay.
And so the government has involved itself in regulating that rent. It has been left for the parties, the tenant and the landlord, to determine the rent. But now, once they determine, the contract will be registered in front of the government, and the government will control the amount of rent that has to increase every year. So the government is cautious that so many people are not landowners. So many people are leases. So the government is trying to accommodate those people in making sure the rent is being under its control. So the government is doing, I think, what is necessary to accommodate all this.
Okay, at least on that side. What about when it comes to like the price of land itself? If you're trying to acquire a leasehold from a person with the leasehold right, sometimes the price seems a little bit outrageous.
Exactly, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Sometimes the price that you hear in major global cities in the world will also be equal in Ethiopia as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It seems like how can that be?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was a boom, I think, in the past couple of years that the price of movable properties has gone so much up.
Yeah.
But I think the mechanism to reduce the price is by building more and more and more. So especially in the Addis Ababa city, the Addis Ababa city government has been deploying so many lands for private real estate investors to build up in a PPP, public-private partnership method as well. So when you increase the amount of supply, the demand will decrease. And nowadays, you can see a decrease in the price of real estate houses, as well as houses that are being sold, residential houses that are being sold around the city. There is a kind of decrease.
Because now there's more supply. There's more options available.
More options, yes.
I see. Okay, very good. So we already talked about foreigners. So did you mention the documentation that's required when you're going through the land process, like especially for a diaspora who is interested to buy land here or acquire a leasehold? What type of documentation do they need?
For the diaspora, the most important thing is for them to have the foreign national of Ethiopian origin ID.
Yellow card.
The yellow card is crucial because that is the ID that gives them the title to acquire property in Ethiopia, work in Ethiopia without any requirement of permits, work permit or residence permit. That particular ID is crucial. That's the main thing. Second, if they cannot come to Ethiopia, they have to assign a proxy with a power of attorney. Giving that person the power to purchase land on their behalf as well.
I see.
And then for that person to make sure to go to the land administration office and to check the title deed certificate is genuine or not, that there is no debt, there is no injunction, court injunction orders, that the land is free for sale. And then for that particular individual to sign in front of the notary public for the purchase of their property. And then they pay all the necessary taxes and acquire. It's simple. It's a simple, direct procedure. The thing is, there are so many in between transactions that may require these individuals to sign, for example, ordinary non-notary documents. And those documents are the ones that can pull them away from the legal process. For example, when you want to buy a real estate, it's not yet built. So you have to buy that property without any title deed certificate with a very good price, because the real estate has not yet built that property. So when you do that, then the transaction that you have to undergo is an ordinary contract. And such an ordinary contract are also recognized under our laws when it is real estate. When it is people who are selling, who are acquired from inheritance a property, they may be several people, descendants who acquired. Sometimes they need some money to change the name from the original deceased person to their name, and they will ask them, okay, till we have, till we make sure the title deed certificate is changed to our name, let's have a contract agreement of this amount in an ordinary contract terms, and then proceed. And when this procedure takes time, okay, there will be misunderstanding. The value of the property will increase. Disagreements will arise. Okay, so all these things might happen in between. But in principle, what the diaspora has to take care is that these immovable property contracts be done in front of the notary public. That is so a crucial step in acquiring a property in Ethiopia.
Wow, excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so we finished, I think, the land questions. I think you covered it very well. Do you have any other information that you think might be useful for diaspora to know, whether it's in regards to land or just anything in general? I think you had mentioned that there was maybe some new developments or new laws or something that might apply to diaspora. Do you have anything you would like to share on that?
Okay, but first, let me share this particular fact to you, because real estates, the law regarding real estates are being revised at the moment. So that the protection afforded to end users, the buyers, will be a little bit more protective.
Really?
Yes. And obligations would be assigned against the real estate agents, because the real estate agents are selling properties that they haven't built yet, or the time of transfer of those properties are being extended too much and taking too much, because the end buyers have bought that property with the assumption that they will acquire the property within 6 months or within 1 year. But that's not occurring.
It's not always the case.
It's not always the case. So the government has put into the parliament a law to protect these end users. And when this law is going to implement, I think more protection will be afforded to not only the diasporas, but also to Ethiopians who are transacting with real estates, with real estate companies. So more protection will be coming in this regard as well.
That's good. Before we move on, how can someone establish themselves as a real estate developer in Ethiopia?
It's simple. First, Ethiopians themselves can create a company, a real estate company, and can register themselves. And then, as a real estate company, they can acquire properties, land, and then they can build on that land and become a real estate developer. This particular business is also open for foreigners as well. So any foreigner who is willing to invest in real estate in Ethiopia can come fulfilling the minimum requirements for investment in Ethiopia, and can create a real estate company in Ethiopia, can acquire land in Ethiopia, either from the government or from individuals, and then develop that land and build those homes, and then transfer as a real estate to end users. So
do you need to have a minimum amount of capital in order to register a real estate development company, or no?
The requirement under our laws is you have to, for example, as a foreign investor, the minimum investment capital would be 200,000 US dollars,
Okay.
minimum investment capital. That is the minimum investment capital.
That you have to show that you have.
Yes. When you partner with a domestic investor or an Ethiopian investor, then the minimum capital will reduce to 150,000 US dollars. But this capital investment would not sustain that particular real estate into a real estate developer, because that real estate needs to acquire land.
Right.
Needs more capital.
Yeah, 200,000 or 150,000.
That doesn't exactly. Yeah. So practically, when you are interested in such a business, then you enter into the market with the minimum capital.
Right.
You see the market, you inject more capital into it, or use other sources of fund to create your investment environment, and then you can invest and become a real estate developer.
Okay. Okay.
And finally, what I wanted to add, which is so essential for the diaspora and for my fellow Ethiopian children, is the option of adoption. Okay? Foreign nationals of Ethiopian origin have a right, okay, to adopt Ethiopian children. Okay? There was a ban on foreigners adopting Ethiopian children.
Oh, really?
Yes. But nowadays, our Federal Supreme Court Cassation Court has ruled that such a prohibition for foreigners doesn't impact or apply to foreigners of Ethiopian origin with the ID. So there can be relative adoption. Okay, somebody can adopt a child of his relative who is in distress, okay, who cannot survive by themselves, and they can assist those individuals through the adoption process. Or if they are interested to help children in need, vulnerable children, abandoned children, or orphans from orphanage, they can also do that. So our law allows them to adopt. So I want this information to come out for the diaspora, because a child needs a family to thrive, to grow, a family that can love him, that can nourish him, that can give a shelter over his head. So when those people with the advantage that they want to assist these children in need, they shouldn't be dragged behind the ban that was circulated throughout the media, that foreigners cannot adopt Ethiopian children. This is also intact, but this doesn't include the diaspora, meaning foreign nationals of Ethiopian origin.
That's very good information. I'm so happy that you brought that up. We see that Addis is growing and changing and developing, and there's a lot happening here, but there's still a lot of poverty. There's still a lot of people that are struggling and suffering. And I think if you're watching this and you're interested to help, this is one way that you can help the Ethiopian people, especially if you are an Ethiopian, help your brothers and sisters to achieve something greater. Because just because somebody is living on the street or doesn't have as much as, we may have, doesn't mean they don't have potential, right? Doesn't mean that they're not smart, they're not intelligent. They just didn't have the right opportunity in life, So I'm very happy that you brought that up, and I hope people will consider it. And I will put Dagnachew's information on the screen here. So if you're interested in anything we discussed today, you can reach out to him directly, or you can reach out to me and I can connect you to. But before we end the interview today, I did want to just ask, do you know the reasoning behind why foreigners are not able to adopt Ethiopian children? I mean, I have an opinion about it, but just like what the law.
Yes. I have been also at the session where this proclamation has been revised.
Okay.
And the major reason is many Ethiopians being adopted have had some cultural shock in the place where they have gone. So this might not be beneficial for Ethiopian children, and that is the main reason for the ban on foreigners adopting Ethiopians. Second, news, bad news. Okay, let's assume from 100%, 1% of children might face a challenge in the adoption process with their adopters, and that became a news. Okay,
Do you mean like abuse or
abuse of those children, those adopted children. And when that became a news, okay, that news will be will have a widespread media coverage, rather than those so many 99% of children who have had a good life, opportunities, okay, a positive experience as well. So those bad news have also played their crucial role in this regard. So our government has had a position to say no more foreign adoption, only Ethiopians can adopt, but Ethiopian diasporas, okay, all over the world, have also that right to adapt as well, to contribute to the challenge faced by these children. And our constitution states that whenever a decision is made on a certain child, the best interest of that child has to be looked into. All government institutions, courts, administrative offices, everybody has to make sure that is for the best interest of the child. So long as the adoption of these vulnerable children is for their best interest, then these foreigners of Ethiopian origin can come forward and try to assist these children and adopt them. I know there will be some challenges in their own governments, wherever they are, but that challenge has to be passed, and they have to come forward and adopt these children.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to add or that you would like to say?
No, that's
Let me make sure I covered all my questions. Okay. Oh, there's one last thing I want to say.
Okay.
So if this gets into like offering legal advice, you don't have to answer this. But I was just wondering, in your opinion, how do you think the Ethiopian diaspora can best use their foreign currencies to invest in Ethiopia at this time?
Amazingly, at this time, there is the financial uh, decision the government has made in floating the foreign currency to be determined by the market.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity. It is a very good opportunity. Yes. Based on that, our banks, all banks in Ethiopia, are offering the diasporas to invest in buying, creating businesses, properties in Ethiopia using their foreign currency, so that the banks will give them a loan, a very better loan with good interest. And they are advocating, and such an opportunity has been floated at the moment. So the use of their foreign currency at the moment is, I think, the right moment for the diasporas to use their foreign currency reserve, what they have, to invest in immovable property, buying immovable property, or making business in Ethiopia using their foreign currency cash reserve. So they can open bank accounts in Ethiopia in their foreign currency, in the foreign currency they want. They can withdraw that foreign currency whenever they want as well. Yes.
In dollars or in pounds?
Yes.
Okay.
So that guarantee has come through the Green Book, in which our national bank has introduced recently. So this is the financial reform that we are enjoying at the moment regarding regarding the use of the foreign currency in Ethiopia. So this is a very good opportunity for the diasporas to use. So contact banks, okay, the local banks, know more about the terms of their loan that they can give them if they pay their loans in foreign currency.
Yeah.
And when they make sure that it is a very good opportunity, then they can contact their proxies here, as well as take an advice from a lawyer, and then undergo their investment purchase, okay, create a business in Ethiopia.
Wow.
This is a good opportunity.
It's a very good opportunity. So you guys heard it here. If you are interested in investing in Ethiopia, it sounds like now is the time to do it, to take advantage of what's going on in the banking system. Contact a local bank here and see, what kind of loan options they may have available for you. And what's new for me actually is that if you put the foreign currency into an Ethiopian bank, you can withdraw it in foreign currency.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that is kind of a win-win scenario, the best of both worlds. So yeah, thank you so much. Do you want to share, like, how much do you charge for your services if people are interested, or they can just reach out to you? And
they can reach out to me, and it depends on the complexities of the matter, what the legal issues are, so that we can give them the options right away by our email as well as by our phone number.
Excellent. Dagnachew, thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys found this very informative. I did. Please reach out directly to him or to me by email or in the comments, and I will make sure to get back to you and connect you with Dagnachew. Thank you so much again for your time. You've been wonderful. Your expertise is very above subpar. I mean, it is more than I expected, actually. So I'm very happy that you agreed to meet with me. And good luck with all that you're doing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for contacting me as well.
No. Thank you so much.